So they'll be calling you a radical. So there's a lot flying around on where did Black Lives Matter? There's no traditional organization. Let me clarify something, and you can argue it. This is just a fact. Black Lives Matter, that entire movement, started with the Million Mass March, 2012, 2013. And by the way, you go to the Wikipedia page on the Million Mass March, is so full of shit, it's fucking ridiculous. I don't know who the fuck wrote it, but they're a fucking clown. I started the Million Mass March with John Anthony Fairhurst. Now, as you know, my post-ignorance movement, we'd been marching in D.C. I've been working on that 2010, 2011. I got cancer. I came out of the leukemia unit right before blah, 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 blah. So, in 2012, I start to reboot my movement, the post-ignorance. We're marching in Washington Square in New York. I'm going to move it to D.C. So I knew that Martin Luther King's 50th anniversary of the Million Man March was coming up 2013 August. Then Aaron Swartz. I just come out of the bone marrow transplant. I was involved heavily with Aaron Swartz. All my work in New York City. Grassroots. New York City, New York City, New York City. Was murdered. Hung himself. I was first out of the bone marrow. I was there that day in the courtroom. I was so fucking beyond heartbroken. Then it turned into anger. John Anthony Fairhurst, who had connections, he's Boston with Aaron Swartz. He comes to me and he says, Kev, your post-ignorance march, your timing, you're going to move to D.C., blah, blah, blah. I'm doing my march also, blah, 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 blah. Why do we join it together? What do you got in mind? I was hesitant at first. I want to call it the Million Masked Man March. And I said, well, we can't just call it Million Masked Man. That's sexist as hell. We're the opposite of that. And it was really rooted in authority killing our people. It was really authority in police brutality, bigger than that. Government brutality on the murder of Aaron Swartz. Of course, Fukushima, the environment, but corruption. Okay. So we got together. We decided to name it the Million Mask March. We decided to hook it up on, remember the 5th of November. By the way, I was against at first, but John Anthony's telling me, well, it'll give us publicity. We need what we can get. And I'm like, really, guy? And we were anonymous. It's all rooted around anonymous. It's rooted around Aaron Swartz and the government, police brutality, government murder him. And then we were having so many murders by cop. Here in Utah, Matthew Stewart situation happened here. Daniel Will, blah, 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 blah. So, 2013, I give the inaugural speech. It was intense. It was radical as fucking hell. Thousands and thousands in D.C. alone, but it spread like wildfire all over. It was radical intense, so I'll tell you a great story, and then I'll get to how Black Lives Matter started out of this. It was bubbling all over the country. We just galvanized it. I was doing so much work in the 2000s in Brooklyn. So, these are crazy fucking, what a fucking journey. Oh my God, I think about it, it blows my fucking mind. So, that morning in D.C., I got a guy who's going to supposedly stay at the Ralph Nader house. This was all fucked up. I was still full of cancer in 2013, fighting for my life. I ended up sleeping on the park bench that morning at the Washington Memorial with another professor from Berkeley was there, believe it or not. Was not associated with us, just by choice. There was that little fox running around. So that morning, I skedaddled right as the sun came up over to the White House. The night before, we'd been interviewed, John Anthony and, a few of us had been interviewed by Tsar T. Tsar T is Russian. They refused to put any verification. That's when I knew they were all fucked up. And then, it's complicated. But so, head of White House security's all over us. Guys are coming up to me with baseball caps. I think we're with the March. Oh, we're with Capitol Security. We're with this security. We're Secret Service. I mean, fuck, you wouldn't have believed it. So they're all fucking assholes for the most part, except for the head of White House Security. He's like, Kevin, can I talk to you? Yeah. I believe his last name's Sands. What's your plans? And I says, I think it's going to be pretty fucking radical. The anarchists are here. You know, because Wiki Poets, her group was there. All part, they were, you know, arguing and fighting. It already began. I'm like, well, we're going to march. We got a stage set up in Lafayette Square. We're going to give its group, but it's going to be organic. We're just going to let it happen. I says, you know I've got cancer. I've got leukemia. So be nice to me. I says, I'm really defending, you know, my gig, Fukushima, the environment crash and the police brutality, blah, blah, blah. You know, the pyramid. He says, yeah, I know. We've been watching your videos. He says, he got all emotional. He says, Kevin, my little sister just died of AML leukemia. She got it at the same time as you did. And I'm like, oh, no. I know it, you know, how old? 36. Where'd she live? Bay Area, California. He says, fuck. She got Fukushima, yeah. And he got real emotional. Then I got real emotional. He says, okay. I says, we're meeting at 9. You know, this is a Tuesday. So, I'm first one there. I'm always first one there, last one to leave. It's organizing. Thousands of people are fucking coming. I give the fucking radical speech there. Be yourself. Just let it fucking hang out. Larry Schwab shows up. His brother's been murdered by a cop in Ohio. We start talking. It gets pretty radical and intense. Both groups are fighting. I says, fuck you. You fuckers fighting. I'm going. I'm fucking marching right down 15th. Fucking, well, I don't give a fuck. We're going. So we're going down. I mean, we don't got no permit to fucking march in the streets or anything. You know, we had a permit to be in the fucking park on speed, but this thing was erupting. I mean, there were thousands, many thousands, and whoa, on fire. You know, and I fucking torqued up the fucking crowd that morning at the monument, and I says, fuck it, let's go. So I start leading the fucking march. You know, you guys can sit here and fight, fuck it. Let's go. Unite the fucking clans. And so I start marching. Here comes a cop. Cuts me right off, right there at the top. Up there at the top above the Washington Memorial on 15th. And he says, Kevin Blanch. And he's right out the window. Hold him off. What do you mean, hold him off? We're going to give you a police escort. I said, oh, fuck you. Bullshit. No, can you hold him off? I says, this fucking mob? 5 minutes. Give us 5 minutes. We're going to... I'll try. So I danced and I tried every trick. I held them off for about a minute 30. Police escort all the way. We shut down the whole fucking city on it, too. I mean, the whole fucking city. And I'm not kidding. Capitol fucking... So radical intense. What the shit that went on over at the FBI. I mean, it was radical as fuck. I never seen anything like it. It was incredible. I gave that inaugural speech. Then Steve Grant gave his great fucking speech. We had some... I think Barrett Brown's mother had written a statement. John Anthony read part of it. It was fucking radical as fuck. Should have seen it. They had the horse... Oh. But during this organic fucking time when we're fighting and everything, you know, the argument starts going, you know, we're talking police brutality. I'm doing videos, you know, getting everybody warmed up, fucking added up. This is going on, building up. The police brutality thing started fucking talking. And, you know, John Anthony and Steve Grant and a bunch of us and Larry Schwab, he and I, we're going talking and, you know, and he's like, they don't give a fuck about our fucking lives. They don't fucking care. And I says, no, I says, our lives fucking matter. And then John Anthony's cousin says, well, yeah, and they really don't give a fuck about fucking black lives. And I says, oh, fuck, Black Lives Matter. And somebody took it and they wrote it on a fucking sign. I think I have the fucking sign. And wrote, Black Lives Matter. So, as we were running down the street, I organically used a lot of chants, but that's when really hands up, don't shoot fucking took off in earnest. That was my gig. Hands up, don't shoot. You know, that was really in earnest to tell you that, but hands up, don't nuke, you know, that day. And it just fucking caught like wildfire. So 2013 was incredibly intense, but really it was rooted on the fucking death of Aaron Swartz, all the police brutality, the corruption, the environment, Fukushima. You know, and we kept going. It was big. Fuck. Next year we had 7 million fucking worldwide. Thousands of cities. It was something else. It was good. But then, you know, it got co-opted like everything else. A bunch of fucking... I remember RT comes in and interviews. They're like, why in the interview? Well, of course they're not going to interview me. I'm anti-fucking nuclear, and RT's a fucking Putin-run organization. So the second year, or was it the third year, that's when the head of RT was murdered in the hotel on 5th of November in D.C. I got a tip. Remember I was in Brooklyn? And I said, no, I'm staying in Brooklyn. That's when we tricked the cops and went over to Fox News and fucking did that. I'm passing around the megahorn. That's when I met AOC, you know, and Vice did a little piece on us, but we tricked them. We both, but I got a tip. Don't go. There's going to be trouble in fucking D.C. So I stayed in New York, and I led it in New York. And that was the day that the head of ZRT, you know, supposedly got drunk and fell, but he was beat to death. Right by where I stay. I stay at Davenport Circle right there with Craig. Right there, you know, we have the Peace Vigil right in front of the White House. I've been involved with that Peace Vigil for decades. You know, and I'm like, fuck, are you kidding me? You know, ZRT used to follow us around, but they started interviewing, putting up on ZRT these people inside the movement that really had nothing to do with the movement. That's when I told John Anthony, we're being fucking infiltrated.